earlier today, and we saw that Chris Jericho was talking about his eventual return to WWE, and he basically said that when he does come back, he's going to completely reinvent himself. And I think that's one thing that John Cena has missed the boat on completely, is the fact that he's been the same person for basically his entire career. I mean, he was the rapper, and then he turned into this military guy, and he's basically been the same person for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and it's old. It's old.
I truly believe that John Cena believes, since he was in the movie called The Marine, that he believes he is an actual Marine.
Probably.
He is not a soldier. He's never done anything like that, and he's from Westbury, Massachusetts. He's not a rapper nor gangster or anything of that, so yeah. Now
we of course have the greatest respect for John Cena for everything he's done for the business and all that, and how hard he works, of course, but the character is just old. It's old, it's done with, it's been the same thing for years, and of course he obviously enjoys it, and he likes it. He likes playing that character, but they need to take a chance. They need to turn him heel or do something, but you look at Taker. Undertaker's been virtually the same person throughout his whole career, but he went from the dead man, and he came back as the American Badass, and he even changed himself. Even during the American Badass, he went from the actual American Badass theme music to Roland, and cut his hair off and turned heel, and he was able to evolutionize himself, and now he's been the dead man since WrestleMania 20, but now he's adding submissions into his repertoire, and he's constantly changing. Cena, he's had the 5 moves of doom for his entire career, and that's all he's had. That's all he's had.
Definitely. And since he was born on the planet Krypton as Super Cena, there's just no defeating him. At all. I just wish they would change it up. Give us something different, You're always talking about, doing something new, Give us something different, something we haven't seen. Give us a John Cena we aren't expecting, Give us something else.
Yeah.
We walk alone in the unknown. We live to win another.
On Raw, the other thing that happened was it looked like Mason Ryan was going to get a push. Completely, beating up Kane, stopped the choke slam, and then he speared Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely took him out, and he was left up. He went and stood up on top of the entrance ramp while the other members of Nexus was just standing in awe.
Personally, Mason Ryan reminds me of Batista.
No doubt.
But not in a good way. He reminds me of everything that was bad about Batista at the beginning. Now, Batista eventually turned into a great champion, and he was able to do great work, but Mason Ryan is so green. He doesn't have great mic work. His facial expressions are terrible. Obviously, he has a great look. He's got a ton of potential, but if they're about to start pushing him now, I think they're setting him up for failure.
Well, Mason Ryan has came out and said, he knows he's green, he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So, I respect him on that standpoint.
Oh, absolutely.
And, if WWE's going to push him, I'm not going to be one to be like, I'm too green to be pushed. I'm going to take it.
That's true.
So, I completely go ahead, if you want to give it to him, let's see what he's got. Hopefully, he's got more in what you see in him than I do, because,
It really reminds me of Batista turning on Evolution, because you see the dissension, you have the new Nexus, and then you have Mason Ryan, and
True.
Like I said, basically Batista and Mason Ryan are the same person. They even look the same. If you had a bald, shaved head haircut on Mason Ryan, he'd be Batista. He even does the powerbomb as a finisher on occasion. Yeah. So, they're virtually the same in my book.
Definitely.
R-Truth and John Morrison have been developing quite the feud in the last couple of weeks. After R-Truth's surprising heel turn last week, and then his involvement in the main event at Extreme Rules on Sunday, he made his presence felt again this Monday on Raw by attacking John Morrison before their match. How do you feel about R-Truth's heel turn, and how do you feel about how it's progressed so far?
A lot of people, I've heard a lot of negativity that they like R-Truth as a face. I want to see what he's got as a heel. I want to see, it's something different. How he's talking about reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. This is something completely different. I haven't seen it from him. I'm ready to see it. He was getting nowhere. I mean, let's see, before that, he was taking on, people on Superstars or whatever else.
Yeah.
Now he's feuding, in a main event, was considered a number one contender for the world title until he put it on the line and lost to John Morrison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, let's go for it. It's something different. If it's going to get him higher up, let's do it.
Now, for you guys out there, Tyra and I have actually discussed the kind of cool idea of maybe teaming R-Truth with a heel JTG at some point. It may seem a little obvious, I guess, that they're kind of the same sort of character, except one's still babyface and one's heel at the moment. But they could be probably a better version of Crime Time, but a heel stable instead of just two babyfaces walking around making jokes all day.
I mean, I would have liked to have had R-Truth with Crime Time as a leader instead of Crime Time teaming with John Cena and riding Poopy on JBL's limo, but that's a completely different story.
Right.
But yeah, I would like to see that. I mean, if they're not going to give him in a world title, bring JTG up. He's got a lot of talent too.
Yeah, he does. He does for sure.
And also TNA is talking about rebranding. They are going to be called, I guess, Impact Wrestling, which the only thing I could say on that is at least one wrestling company is willing to be considered wrestling. So, I got to give them that. I mean, they're not turning on what brought them to the show.
Yeah, and if you don't know what he's referring to, WWE recently has changed their entire name from World Wrestling Entertainment just to WWE Inc.
You're no longer allowed to say wrestling in WWE.
Yeah, it's kind of one of their forbidden words and their forbidden terminology. And that's kind of upsetting to us just because why turn on what brought you to the game in the first place? But as far as the whole TNA thing goes, I don't necessarily like it. I think the name is weak. I mean, I love the fact that it involves wrestling, but I feel that it's too little too late. And instead of focusing on changing the name, they need to change the product first.
Definitely. I mean, I think one of the main things is get Russo out of wrestling, get him away from your show.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean,
For sure.
with the TNA name, when you see it, you didn't think wrestling, because it didn't say anything about wrestling. It was total nonstop action. That
Or
could
tits
be
and ass,
anything.
depending on it.
Or tits
One of
and
the
ass.
two.
But I mean, that could have meant anything. So I mean, I kind of like it that you're trying to get the wrestling in there so you know what the hell it is. But exactly. They need to be focusing on other things instead of rebranding. Just changing your name isn't going to make people want to watch your show at all.
Absolutely. Now, also on TNA, spoiler alert, sorry. Wildcat Chris Harris made his return to TNA. He was the surprise tag team partner of Matt Hardy. Him and Matt Hardy took on the team of James Storm and Robert Roode, Beer Money. Now, for those of you who don't know, Chris Harris used to be in a tag team called America's Most Wanted with James Storm, so his return brings up a lot of questions. We've heard the rumor that they're going to break up Beer Money and reform America's Most Wanted to give Robert Roode a singles push, which is something we've been asking for a long time. So.
And I mean, with Robert Roode's mic skills, I mean, you've seen on last week's Impact, and I mean, a couple before that, he's great. I love everything he's got to say. When he talks about how hard he's worked for TNA and what he's tried to bring it up to, you can hear the passion and you see it. You know what he wants to do, and I'm ready to give him a shot. Let's do it. I just hope I haven't got to see James Storm yet, or Chris Harris yet. So I'm hoping that he's more in shape than his Braden Walker character in WWE. But I would love to see him back in action. And the only problem I have with his return was that he came in and he lost the match.
Yeah, another spoiler there. He does lose to Beer Money. He's the one that actually takes the pinfall.
And
but TNA's done that almost every time someone's returned. I think Christopher Daniels lost his first match back.
Well, Christopher Daniels, and by the way, good job TNA on bringing back Christopher Daniels and having him lose to Gunner. Nice job there. Great. You really got talented writers over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really bad. I mean, you bring in a new guy, or well, not a new guy, but a guy back, and the fans are probably excited seeing that. There's a big story, Chris Harris, James Storm, and you just kind of let it die down like that. I mean, you bring this guy in, you want your ratings, and then you just let him loose straight up. I'm not sure if it was clean. I haven't seen it, but that will be on next week's Impact, and I'm ready to see it. I mean, also, how we talked earlier, China will be there, Chris Harris. So it's something to be watching this week, actually.
Yeah, kind of. As much as you can watch TNA, right?
I suppose. I'll give you that.
Yeah. This whole episode was just to give you guys some introductory kind of feel for us, get to know who we are and everything. And but basically, we're going to try to have a new episode every week, have it up on Sundays most likely. But we're going to do a Q&A session all the time. You can get in any questions you got for us. We've got all kinds of inside information. We're going to help you out and give you all the news we can and give you as much analysis as we possibly can. But remember to like the videos on YouTube, follow us on our Twitter account.
Subscribe
on YouTube as well. But definitely send in your questions. We want to answer any questions you have. We've both been watching wrestling since the early 90s, so we've got tons and tons of information stored up here. So.
And also with our answers that we gave, send in yours, and we'll discuss it and talk about it on the next show.
Yeah, tell us, who your top 5 current are, favorite wrestlers, most hated wrestlers. Tell us why.
Who's your favorite
give us
overall.
an explanation for those picks, and we'll talk about those, and we'll discuss those on our next week's episode. But we look forward to hearing from everybody.
All right.
For the Tyrant, I am the Prodigy. We thank you very much. Tune in next week to the next episode of Pro Wrestling TV. Take care, everybody.
Have a good day.